boy, I've been meaning to do this video for a long time. The F9F-8 is one of my favorite looking aircraft in the entire game, and in real life for that matter. These things are just so cool looking to me, and I can't really put my finger on why. I guess it would be the wing shape, because it has almost this like swept wing combined with delta wing, but not really a delta wing because it doesn't go all the way back, but has this sort of tapering off. I don't know. I just think it looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty much the only reason I decided to make a video on this. And finally, I actually have a day off work and I have nothing else I actually have to do today, so I can actually sit down and record, which is super nice. Like, geez, as of the time I'm recording this, it's been a week since my last upload, and I have a feeling this video won't even be out till tomorrow or Monday. But that's the way life goes. Life is busy, work is exhausting, and everything else I gotta do takes up time too, so it feels pretty good to sit down and work on a video. Anyway, the F9F8 Cougar is a rank 6 battle rating 8.3 fighter for the United States, sitting in the American naval tree after the F9F5. As far as armament goes, the F9F8 Cougar gets 4 20mm AN-M3 cannons that are some of my favorite 20mm cannons in the game, and you also have the ability to carry 4 AIM-9B missiles at 8.3, which is pretty solid. I know a lot of people might call the AIM-9B useless, and I'm guilty of calling the AIM-9B useless in the past as well, but I think this is the first aircraft I've flown in a while that has AIM-9Bs at such a low battle rating, and I found that I'm actually picking up quite a few kills with them. It seems like the majority of players take the missiles out with them, but there are a good amount of people that don't take them out just to save weight. Which, with this engine and this aircraft, it definitely does make a difference. Speaking of the engine on this aircraft, it's subpar. It's not that powerful. Most things can out-accelerate you unless you get it down tier. If you get it up tier, just about everything can out-accelerate you, which can sometimes make this thing pretty difficult to use. Like, say for example, if you come across someone in a MiG-15 or MiG-15 Biz or MiG-17 that actually knows what they're doing, you're not going to win. However, whenever I did encounter someone like this, I would just try and bait and overshoot just because it looks really cool and it's really fun. Most of the time it would end up with me dead, but I'm not exactly the, 100% triple super amazing Air RB player, and frankly I'm not too worried about stats. Okay, so I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, but back to flight performance. The F9F8 Cougar has not very good acceleration. Its top speed's okay, but it takes a while to get there. But once you are there, it's pretty easy to maintain that speed if you're playing horizontally, but if you go into the vertical, you're going to lose all that speed very quickly. The Cougar also has a very fast roll rate, especially at high speeds. That's the only part of this aircraft that doesn't seem to compress really badly, which also adds to this thing's ability to get into one of those rolling scissor fights and then force an overshoot and you get your guns on pretty easily relative to a lot of other aircraft at this battle rating. And to be honest, that's what makes this aircraft pretty fun to fly. It's not necessarily one of those like meta jets that's just gonna absolutely slaughter if you know what you're doing. Like, even if you know what you're doing, it's not super easy to just dominate every battle you're in if you're careful. For the average player, you're not gonna do too hot in this thing, I feel like. At least in the beginning when you're getting used to the aircraft, kind of like I was, because the first few games in this thing I was playing very poorly and making just dumb mistakes. I'm trying to fly at like the LA-15 like I did a couple videos back, just because that plane fit my playing style so well that's how I want to fly everything. And obviously if you fly a Cougar like you're gonna fly a LA-15, you are not gonna do well, and if only I actually like thought, and like used the brain that I have or that I don't have. So how do I prefer to use the F9F8 Cougar? Well, I fly off the runway, I'll side climb a bit, not too far, just enough to get to the furball started, and then I'll head back and try and pick people off. And if that's not working, I kind of just send it, because that's what's fun to me. But if I am actually trying to get a bunch of kills and not die, the most consistent method of playing that I found was to do that slide side climb to, 2 to 3 kilometers up, and then join the battle once you're at a really high speed, flying level straight into it. Obviously, you don't want to just start insta turning on the first person you see, because you're going to bleed all of your speed very quickly, and then you're going to be a sitting duck because this thing does not accelerate well, and you're going to die. So don't do that. What you are going to do is you're going to kind of fly, make passes through the furball, and pick people off as much as you can. Use your missiles if you can. A lot of times going through the furball, there's going to be people at pretty low speed, which, for AIM-9Bs, people at low speed are your prime targets. Now, what happens if this method of flying, making passes through a furball doesn't work out, and you end up with someone on your tail? Well, you're in luck because this thing is a really good defensive flyer. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you can force people to overshoot you pretty easily. And it's not too difficult to stay out of your enemy's guns as well, just because this thing rolls so fast. And precisely because of your high roll rate, you can get back on people's tails very quickly once you roll out of the way and lose some speed. Speaking of losing speed, I completely forgot to mention this earlier, but this thing's air brake works really well. You bleed so much so much speed very fast once you pop that air brake. This is very useful, not only for making enemies overshoot you, but you remember how a minute ago I said this thing compresses really hard at high speed? Well, I found myself using this air brake quite a lot when I'd be compressing going straight towards the dirt, and it saved me a few times. So, I guess when it comes to performance, I guess this thing is pretty average for this battle rating. And weirdly enough, it seemed like whether or not you got up tiered or down tiered, I didn't really seem to be doing any better or worse in either situation. In fact, I think the best game I had in this thing was like 7 kills while I was flying it out, and I think that was a full up tier, and there were MiG-21s on my team, so that was definitely a bit unexpected, but obviously very welcome. You know, I know a minute ago I said this thing's pretty average for the battle rating, but the more I think about it, the more I think it's actually a pretty solid aircraft. It definitely has potential to do some damage, but it's one of those planes that you really have to be careful with your target selection and be very aware of your surroundings before you engage somebody, because a lot of other planes you maybe don't have to be as attentive to your surroundings just because you can get out of a bad situation if that situation arises. But if you get to a low speed in a dogfight with somebody and a third party comes in and try and kill you, you're going to have a hard time getting away from both the original person you're fighting and the third party. So, to summarize the performance of the F9F8, some of the positives include a decent speed, a high roll rate, high maneuverability, very good guns, and you get 4 missiles, which are very good at 8.3. And now some of the negatives. Acceleration isn't quite as good as other aircraft. Low speed energy retention is not very good. It compresses very hard at high speeds, and most aircraft, especially the Russians, are going to be able to out dogfight you. But obviously that depends on player skill on both sides. So, is the F9F8 Cougar a good plane to fly out in Air RB? Yes, absolutely. I find it pretty fun, has a very high roll rate, it looks sick, and it can do quite a bit of damage if you play carefully. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Jesus Christ. Button. What do you guys think about the Cougar? Let me know down in the comments. And on that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.